Hi, everybody. Welcome to English Digest. I'm Tom.
I'm Stephanie.
It's our animal unit for the month of March. What a great time to talk about animals. We love animals. We love to eat them sometimes, but of course, sometimes we love to admire them and appreciate them. And that's what we're going to do today concerning an animal that lives in Australia. No, not the kangaroo, not the duck-billed platypus, but we're going to be talking about the wombat.
Yeah, it's pretty cute. I had to look up a picture of the wombat just to remind myself, which one is this? Because Australia has a lot of weird animals that are only found there, natively speaking, and it's pretty cute. I also was looking, I was on Google, and there was a question somebody had asked at one point, like, what animal is closest to the wombat? And I looked at the answer and it said the koala in terms of looks. But it's really a cute little bear. We're going to spend a day talking about it. It's not an animal we eat, nor do people usually have wombats as pets. So it's a wild animal, but so darling. Stay tuned. We're going to read through our article and then we'll be right back.
In the vast landscapes of Australia, a unique and charming creature roams, the wombat. These round, adorable animals possess surprising abilities and fascinating traits that never fail to amaze. Let's explore the world of this remarkable creature. Wombats are marsupials native to Australia, measuring around 1 meter in length and weighing between 20 and 35 kilograms. Their fur varies in color, ranging from brown to gray to black. As herbivores, they primarily feed on grass, bark, and roots. To adapt to Australia's weather conditions, wombats have developed a slow metabolism and a leisurely pace. However, despite their bulky appearance, they can reach speeds of up to 40 kilometers per hour when threatened. Wombats are best known for their cube-shaped droppings, but their lifestyle is equally intriguing. They are exceptional diggers, creating complex underground burrow systems in well-drained soil. Some of these systems can even house up to 10 wombats. In fact, during wildfires, their burrow systems have provided shelter and protected many other species. However, wombats face several threats, including habitat loss due to human expansion and competition for food from non-native animals. In response to these challenges, wombats have evolved unique defenses. They can quickly retreat into their burrows, using their tough rear ends to block predators, and even crush an attacker's skull between the roof of the burrow and their backs. By appreciating wombats, we can foster a deeper understanding of the natural world and cultivate a sense of responsibility to protect their habitats, ensuring their continued survival. Okay, let's talk about wombats, and we're describing them as having unique lives. If something's unique, it's special, it's very rare, it's very unique and special to that particular animal. No other animal seems to have a life like that animal. And these are wombats, which live in Australia. I don't want to tell you what the Chinese name is for this because it kind of sounds like a way to curse people, so I'll just avoid that. But in any case, let's talk about wombats. It says, in the vast landscapes of Australia, a unique and charming creature roams the wombat. Okay, so of course, Australia is a big continent. It's a country and a continent at the same time. And it's kind of rugged. It's got, the east part of Australia where most of the people live. It's very nice there. They have farms and things like that. But then, of course, they have deserts in the middle of the country. And then, of course, there's the other city of Perth way out west there. But yes, indeed, it's got this unique atmosphere there, this unique landscape. It's a vast landscape. It's quite big. And then in that landscape, in that land, in the wild parts of that country, roams the wombat. So here we've got the word roam, which means you just kind of move from place to place without really going in any direction.
Yeah, you don't have a specific destination. A similar word to roam would be wander, W-A-N-D-E-R. So they like to wander or roam about, and it's pretty cute. This is a description of the animal. They're round, we're calling them adorable because you kind of want to just hug them or at least have a stuffed animal that looks like a wombat. Maybe you can get a pillow that looks like this animal. They possess surprising abilities. They have some talents that are surprising. And they also have fascinating traits that never fail to amaze. If something's fascinating, it's really interesting and it gets your attention. You don't want to look away from it. So what are some of these traits? A trait is something that is a characteristic of something. Could be an animal, a person, but some people have the trait of being very energetic, very friendly, honest. Some people are very loyal. Those are traits or characteristics. These particular little animals have fascinating traits. And when you learn about them, you're going to be kind of surprised. Here our author says, these traits never fail to amaze. If they never fail to do something, they always do it, right? So it's going to amaze you to hear about these remarkable creatures.
Right. So because those traits are so fascinating, we're going to explore the world of this remarkable creature. If something's remarkable, well, it's fascinating. It's something that deserves attention. It is striking. It's fascinating. It's really cool. So let's check it out in the next paragraph here. It says, wombats are marsupials native to Australia, measuring around 1 meter in length and weighing between 20 and 35 kilograms. So this is some basic information about this kind of animal. They are marsupials. A marsupial is an animal with a pouch. And we oftentimes think of marsupials being very common in Australia with the kangaroo and the wombat, although I believe the opossums in North America are also marsupials.
They are,
So they're not just in Australia. And, of course, it looks like it's kind of big. It's measuring 1 meter in length. That's fairly big. And then it's fairly heavy, between 20 and 35 kilograms.
Yeah, it's not something you would normally want to just pick up and cuddle.
They probably let you have it.
Yeah, I wouldn't try to pick this animal up and cuddle them. You'll find out in a minute. Their fur, that's the hair on their bodies, it varies in color, so it changes in color. And it can range from brown to gray to black. So there's a lot of variety in the color of their fur. They're also described as being herbivores. An herbivore is an animal that just eats plants. So they don't go out and attack other animals. They don't have prey that they hunt down and kill and then eat. These are animals that just eat, natural things like plants and twigs and things like that. So they primarily feed on, and do not use feed on to talk about human beings.
No.
We only use feed on if we're talking about an animal, what an animal eats to stay alive. So what do they feed on? Grass. We know what grass is. Bark is the outside part of a tree. The trunk of the tree has a lot of bark. And then they also like to eat roots. So very interesting. They must have very strong teeth. And they must have a good digestive system to, digest roots and bark, which I can't imagine. It seems rather rough and tough, something to eat that's kind of hard on your stomach if you're not used to it.
I wonder where they get their protein from. But yes, indeed, they're herbivores. Some people say herbivores, and this is when we're talking about animals in the wild. If an animal eats only meat, it's a carnivore. And if it eats both meat and plants, then it is an omnivore. But these creatures are herbivores, and they mainly eat grass, bark, and roots. And to adapt to Australia's weather conditions, wombats have developed a slow metabolism and leisurely pace. Now, as you know, Australia is mostly a desert country or a desert continent, so it's quite hot there. And in order to survive, these wombats have to kind of move slowly to conserve energy, so they have this slow metabolism. Okay, that's the 新陈代谢 in Chinese. I guess it's probably easier to explain it that way. Basically, it's a chemical process in the body in which we convert food into energy, etc., etc. It's quite complicated, but they have a slow metabolism, and they're kind of mellow, slow creatures. They have a leisurely pace in order to save energy in that hot environment.
When it's really hot, you really don't want to be walking around at a fast speed. I find when it's hot around here, I move a lot slower. It's just too hot.
Makes sense.
Yeah, you don't have any energy. We're also describing these cute animals as having a bulky appearance. If it's bulky, it's kind of large and thick. We would use bulky to describe a sweater or a winter coat as being kind of bulky. It adds weight to your frame. So it's kind of large and heavy. Bulky things are often also hard to carry around or to lift up if you're a person. So they have a bulky appearance, but despite this, or even though this is true, you're going to be amazed to hear how fast these little things can go. They can reach speeds of up to 40 kilometers per hour. And notice the next two words, when threatened. So if another animal comes and they feel afraid, or a person, maybe a human being comes around, and they feel threatened, they can move very quickly and they'll run away.
Well, it's very difficult to get that fast riding a bicycle. So yes, indeed, these animals can run very fast. Well, it's time for us to take a little bit of a break. So let's do that and listen to our Chinese teacher right now, and we'll be right back.
Hello everyone, 我是派老师。今天讲解的课程是3月17号 Unit 9 The Unique Lives of Australia's Wombats。这个单元是一个克漏字测验，内容呢和澳洲的可爱生物袋熊有关。课文内容介绍袋熊的外形特征，还有特别的生活形态。袋熊很擅长挖地，可以创造出复杂的洞穴系统，不但保护自己，甚至于在野火蔓延的时候，也为其他的物种提供了保护。好，那我们现在一起来解题吧。那请同学先看到第一题，上下文对于解题很重要。我们先看到前面一个句子，在广阔的澳洲土地上，有种独特吸引人的生物在漫步，也就是我们的主角袋熊。接着就是第一题的题干了 ，These round adorable animals， 哒哒哒哒哒哒。第一题的4个选项都是动词，这一题是词汇题。我们一起看看4个选项分别是什么意思。A. Possess 拥有或具有 B. Pursue 追求 C. Renew 续约展延 D. Withdraw 可以是提取也可以是撤回的意思。那我们考量前后文，第一题答案选 A， 表示这些圆滚滚的可爱动物拥有令人惊奇的能力，还有迷人的特征。接着是第二题，请看到第2段后半段这边 To adapt to Australia's weather conditions 这个部分。好，这里的意思是为了适应澳洲的气候条件，袋熊发展出缓慢的新陈代谢，还有悠闲的步调。接着就是我们题干的句子，这一题是文法题，4个选项都有动词 threaten， 但是它们动词的形态不一样。我们从语义可以判断，这个句子是在说，虽然袋熊外表看起来有点笨重，但受到威胁的时候，移动的速度可以高达每小时40公里。最理想的句子应该是 when they are threatened， 可是没有这个选项啊。那我们可以把后面的主词省略，把这个 they 省略掉。为什么？因为这跟前面主要子句的主词是相同的。不过后面的动词要有变化 ，be 动词 are 要恢复成原形 be， 再加 ing being。那 being 可以省略，所以第2题答案选 B。
We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Welcome back, everybody. Let's continue talking about our animal, our featured animal for the month of March. We are talking about wombats down under in Australia. So today, so far, we've talked about the fact that they're adorable animals, but they have very fascinating traits that we'd like to talk about. Again, they're marsupials. They're native to Australia. They're pretty big. They're about 1 meter in length, and they're kind of heavy. They're bulky, and their fur ranges in color from brown to gray and black. And they are herbivores. They mainly eat plants and grass and bark and roots. And, of course, they have a slow metabolism to adapt to the harsh climate of Australia.
Yeah. Now, they're pretty amazing. We're kind of talking about their fascinating traits and characteristics. we're moving on to talk about something that's truly unique about this animal. It is the only animal on the planet Earth that when they go to the bathroom, and we call that droppings, that's the left behind dung that animals produce. We don't talk about human beings having droppings. No, it's only for animals. So for these cute little creatures, they produce a very interesting dropping in the shape of a cube. So if you go online, you can see a picture of the shape of their droppings. I don't know if you've ever been on a farm and been behind a horse or a cow, but their droppings are just kind of a mess.
A big pile.
Yeah, it's a pile. And when it first comes out of the animal, it's kind of a little bit liquidy. It's a mess. And
it's disgusting.
If you step in it, it's a mess. We used to have some horses in parades when I was growing up, and they would have droppings while they were in the parade, and, it was kind of a mess. You didn't want to step in it. These are very convenient. You just kind of pick them up. They look like a piece of candy, but don't eat them, of course. But yeah, this is one of their very fascinating traits.
Right. They're not perfectly cubical like a Rubik's Cube or a dice or something like that, but they are pretty cubed in shape. Of course, they're not really round, but they're interesting shaped. And, of course, their lifestyle is equally intriguing or fascinating, really interesting. They are exceptional diggers, creating complex underground burrow systems in well-drained soil. So if you're a digger, of course, you know how to dig in the ground. Dogs are good diggers. They always seem to be digging holes in the ground to bury bones. In this particular case, the wombat will dig a complex system, or they burrow into the ground. It's a burrow system, and the soil is well drained. Okay, so that means the water leaves the soil pretty quickly, so it's not going to flood their burrow. Here we're using the word burrow as a noun, which means it's basically a bunch of holes in the ground where they live. Maybe gophers live in burrows.
They do, yeah.
Burrow can also be a verb, to burrow into the ground. And here it's a burrow system, and again, it's well-drained soil. So they can go underground, I guess, to evade predators.
Yeah, and they like to have friends and company. So here it says some of these systems can even house up to 10 wombats. While we're on this word house as a verb, I just wanted to point out, we say house as a verb is pronounced with a Z sound, guys, not an S. You don't house up to 10 wombats, you house these wombats. So kind of fun. They like to hang out together with their pals. And so they have a nice little community. In fact, it says during wildfires, so these fires that start naturally in the wild, in the wilderness, their burrow systems have provided shelter and protected many other species. So maybe some of those other species can take shelter while the fires are raging in their own neighborhoods. So that's kind of nice. A shelter is a place that keeps you safe. Maybe you're outside and it suddenly starts raining really hard. If you can find shelter, it could be a house, I guess, if you needed a complete house, but it could also just be, maybe some leaves or some boards that are sheltering an area, and you stand underneath and it can keep you dry. Here, if these burrow systems are underground, but they provide shelter. And if you're talking about species, Tom, what is that?
Those are animals that can breed with each other. Of course, species are part of the genus family, and this is how we group animals in biology. They have the ability to exchange genes, and they can interbreed. I guess Homo sapiens, us, are a species of human. There were other species of humans in the past. They're all gone now. Homo sapien is the only one left. But in this particular case, this can protect other kinds of animals that may need some protection, or they might need some shelter. Shelter reminds me where I grew up in the summertime. We would often get tornado warnings, and they would say, a tornado has been spotted on the ground, so seek shelter immediately. Find a place for protection, like go down into the basement or whatever, so you don't get blown away by the tornado. And here in the next paragraph it says, however, wombats face several threats, including habitat loss due to human expansion and competition for food from non-native animals. also called invasive species. We have that problem here in Taiwan, like the common myna, for example, is an invasive species. So, of course, it's non-native. It comes from some other place, and it causes problem with the local animals. And so we've got some threats for the wombat here. They have habitat loss because humans keep expanding. They keep moving out into the suburbs and cutting down forests and building housing communities and things like that. So the animals can't live there anymore. And then we've got these non-native animals. It could be rabbits or rats or whatever. They're eating the food that the wombats normally eat.
I wanted to mention briefly because you kind of heard two different pronunciations of one of our vocabulary words, and that's species or species. They're both correct, and you heard both today. So they're both correct. You can pick the one you want. So you can either have a sh sound in it or not. Just have an S. Species or species. They're both commonly heard in America even. We've got different pronunciations there. So here we're learning that humans are spreading into their own habitats, and so they're losing some of their own homes, these wombats. And there's competition for food from other animals that are being brought into the area that aren't native to the area, which is difficult for the native animals. So in response to these kind of challenges, wombats have evolved or changed over time, and they've come up with these unique or very special, very different defenses. A defense is some sort of action that you take to protect yourself or protect somebody else from attack. So what are these unique defenses?
Well, one of them is that they can quickly retreat or escape into their burrows. Okay, so they know how to hide quickly, and they use their tough rear ends. They use their tough rear ends to block predators and even crush the attacker's skull between the roof of the burrow and their backs. Ooh, that sounds kind of cruel. But again, they can quickly go into their burrows. They retreat there. They escape into the burrows. And then, of course, they've got their rear ends, which block the predators from coming in. And I guess if the predators kind of stick their head into the burrow a little bit, well, the wombat can move its back upward and crush the skull of the attacker. It will crush the skull of the attacker, kill it probably, and then it will be a meal for the wombat later.
No, they don't eat.
Oh, that's right. They don't. They're not carnivores. Yeah, I guess they would have to get rid of the body some other way. But yes, they crush the skull of the attacker between the roof of the burrow, the top of the burrow, and their backs. What a way to die. Ew. Now, here we've got crush. That means to basically apply pressure to something, to press something, to squeeze something, and it's usually quite violent. And it will cause damage or injury, and it will probably cause a noise as well. You could crush ice, for example. If you don't want to have ice cubes, then you could crush it down into smaller pieces, or you could crush your opponent in a wrestling match or something like that.
Yeah, and they're using their tough rear ends to do it. Rear is one of our vocabulary words. It means the back part of something. Maybe you've got a rear view window in the back of your car, or somebody says, yeah, the rear of my car is causing problems. Here, this is a very polite way to say butt, B-U-T-T. You could also use the word behind. Oh, yeah, I'm going to spank his behind, or his behind has some dirt on it. Kids go and play in the dirt, and they get some dirt on the back of their pants. So, yeah, rear end, I'm going to, your rear end, I'm going to do something to you. So rear end, behind, those are all polite, but not so polite. And there are worse words than that. So pick something that's polite. So they go on to crush their attackers' skulls if they're threatened. By appreciating wombats, we can foster a deeper understanding of the natural world and cultivate a sense of responsibility. What we're being asked to do as human beings is protect animals' natural habitats, and that will help ensure their continued survival, which is important.
That's right. And these animals in Australia are pretty cool because Australia is kind of separated from the rest of the world. So they've got animals in Australia that you can't find in other places.
No.
So that means we have more reason to protect them, along with kangaroos and the duck-billed platypus, and I'm sure there are other ones. The lyrebird is one of my favorite Australian animals, even though I've never seen it before. Have you heard of the lyrebird before?
No, can you do the call?
No, but actually a lyrebird is like a great mimic or a mime. It can copy noises of other things. It can actually make the sound of like a chainsaw or a car alarm or things like that. So it's pretty cool.
Kind of like a parrot that can mimic
sort
people.
of. Indeed, they can create all sorts of sounds there. But yes, indeed, the point is that Australia has all sorts of wonderful animals that we can check out. But they're no good to us if they're gone, okay? So we need to appreciate wombats. We need to protect them. And then we can have a better understanding of the natural world all around us. And maybe we can think of some animals unique to Taiwan here that need protection. I think it's a little too late for the clouded leopard. I think that's extinct now. But there are some other animals that are still with us.
Yeah, I've never seen a wombat in a zoo. Maybe they have them in some zoos around the globe, but you're always able to go online and check out wombats by just going to YouTube and checking out what they look like in action as they waddle around. Right now, it's time to listen to our Chinese teacher one more time, and then we'll be back to say goodbye.
我们接着就请看第3题，请同学直接看题干。第3题的4个选项全部都是子句。我们必须要判断哪个选项可以达到前后文意连贯的效果。我们先看空格后面的句子，他们很会挖地，在排水良好的土壤当中，可以创造出复杂的地下洞穴。事实上，在野火蔓延的时候，他们的洞穴可以帮其他物种提供保护。第3题4个选项当中，只有 D 的 lifestyle， 也就是生活形态，比较符合段落后面的叙述，其他的都不相关。那第3题的正确答案就是 D。 好，第4题我们看到第4段，然而袋熊面临着多种威胁，包括人类扩张导致的栖息地丧失，还有外来动物的食物竞争。为了空格这些挑战，袋熊演化出独特的防御机制。好，我们看一下选项，发现 C in response to 也就是应对其实是最合适的，其余的选项都不符合句意。 A in contrast to 是对比于什么， B in addition to 是除了什么还有什么，再来 D in connection with 是和什么有关。那第4题正确答案我们选 C。 再来我们就看到第5题咯，请同学看第5题4个选项都是名词，我们看一下这4个名词的中文意思。 A. Controllers 控制者， B. Consumers 消费者， C. Predators 掠食者， D. Ancestors 祖先。好，那我们用前后文会发现呢，正确答案应该是 C 掠食者，放进去呢才最符合前后文连贯，符合这个文意。好，那第5题这个句子其实比较复杂，所以老师除了讲解这个解题以外针对没有出题的地方，老师也想补充一下，请同学看到动词是不是非常的多？没错，包括前面的 retreat into， 那等于呢袋熊它会退到他们的洞穴里头，这个第一个动词 retreat， 后面呢又有一个 using， 那由于这边呢没有连接词了，所以这里等于呢也是分词构句，退到洞穴里头，袋熊会做什么？ Using their tough rear ends。 好，那他们呢就会用自己身体后面这一段要做什么呢？ To block predators， 要阻挡掠食者。那其实这个 predators 跟后面的 attacker，an attacker 指的呢其实就是相同的，因为这些掠食者是来攻击他们的。那后面这个 crush， 由于前面有个 and 这个连接词，连接了什么呢？好，就连接了 block， 还有后面的这个 crush。 好，他们会阻挡这些掠食者。那再进一步的呢，如果攻击者继续攻击的话，他们就会把他的头壳给压垮 crush。 好的，以上就是我们针对这篇袋熊的文章所做的克漏字测验中文解题讲解。 I'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye bye.
Okay, that brings us to the end of our lesson for today. It has been fascinating talking about wombats. And I wish we had more time. We could talk about other animals in Australia, but that's something we'll do another day. And thanks for joining us. If you haven't heard enough, check out our content on YouTube and Facebook. We look forward to seeing you there. From all of us here at English Digest, I'm Tom.
I'm Stephanie.
Goodbye.
Bye.